Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Thursday, it's June 4th, and a little bit of risk off this morning. Definitely late. And you can see yesterday they were just flopping around all the way until the very, very, very end. Really right there, that last 10, 15 minutes, and then after the close, they took it lower. They kind of tanked a bit. And then the ES has been sitting there, and Nasdaq has been pulling back even more. But that was that was like one of those days where you the the algos or the institutions took a bite out of it at the very, very end. So we're in a little bit of a risk off mode today to get the day started. But given the stuff we got going into this, the last few days of extensions has been not surprising. We get a little bit of a pullback, but they were down here at this support area at the 75-70s for the longest time yesterday, and then very late they just blew through support. We're finding us almost all the way down to that four-letter edge at 75.15, and I would probably expect them to probe lower today, or at least try. And then let's see if they can make it. It's going to correct more, but definitely the first day in the stage 2 on the profile. So we stopped extending. We had a retest failure. This was to the Monday, Friday, Monday. And so a retest failure setting up there, or Monday, Tuesday. Is it? Yeah, that has to be Wednesday. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday is the retest failure. So the nice retest failure up here on the Monday and the Tuesday session, and then Wednesday started pulling back. Today we are heading lower. So it could be as the retest failure pullback we're looking at. Could be the beginning of a little bit bigger of a pullback. It just depends. But there's so much. It's been so crazy on the way up on some of these stocks. I mean, I think Broadcom reported yesterday. That could be also be part of the little risk off dynamic. They are way down this morning in Broadcom. So they are. I guess they said something wrong. Just something a little wrong. They're down 15%, so $70 down on Broadcom. That's a pretty good move to the downside. But it's I would just start off this with a slight bias to the downside and see how far they want to take this. It doesn't need to be a bigger sell-off than we have already. It could be they could hold the line and start trading right back up again. But we are down against this support there at the 7,500 to 7,515 to 20. Nice four-letter edge here right at the 15s. That's just one level below kind of where we've been, the low up there overnight. So I would just start off looking at the further weakness and see if they're going to take it lower. And then if they start taking out the 75, 65 and the 75s, these two resistance areas, I'm taking off that short bias and going back range bound. If they start trading up above those, I think we are back in action again. But it's anyone's guess right now where they're going to go. I mean, we all this craziness on the upside. We had all these parabolic moves. It just kind of needs to consolidate a bit. So the market is not going to go straight up forever. That's for sure. We know that very well. And when it starts, it can correct pretty hard, pretty fast. So we may get the risk off day. We may not. Right now, we're going to start off with this bias to the downside and see if they can take it lower. If they can't, they take out the 75, 65, and the 75s, taking off that short bias and going back range bound. So early on, looking for short setups against the 55s, the 65s, and the 75s for rotations down. Looking to buy against the 75 30s, the 15s, the 7500s with a bit of caution, given the bias to the downside. But that is also that bigger support area. So I would be, if that's going to hold, that's a good spot for it to hold. If it doesn't, chances are we're going to be all the way down at the 74.50s here in no time. Right, so that's they take out this support area. That's where they're going to go next. So that's kind of what we got to look forward to. Let's see how it goes. So that's how we get started this morning. News on tap. Before I forget, the job challenger report came out, or the challenger job cut report came out at 97,000. It was pretty high, higher than I've seen it for a while. The jobless claims, productivity, and cost coming out at 8:30. A couple of speakers, NatGas report at 10:30. and that's about it. And of course, on Friday we get employment situation at 8:30. So that's what we got to look forward to. So today it's going to be an interesting day to see if it's going to be just an overnight sell-off based on the earnings from Broadcom, or if it's going to be something else coming out. But that was and I don't know. I had to see what they. I haven't heard anything about the earnings report. I'm just seeing that Broadcom, you have CrowdStrike, some of the other ones are way down. Micron is also way down, so like 7, 8, 10%. But that's also the amount they are popping every day. So they're popping like 7, 8, 10%. So then pulling down like that looks crazy, looks bad, but well, they let that happen for a couple of days in a row, and then we can start talking about a pullback. But normally you don't need much. So you get one bad earnings report or something which warns a little bit or guides a little bit weak, and you can get the market freak out and take it a lot lower than you would like. So right now on the Nasdaq, yeah, right here we're taking out this support area, the 260s, and we approach below it. We're back up to it, and the next level below that one's going to be down at the 29,750s. So we are already from the high here. Excuse me. So from 30,800, we're already 600 points to the downside, and that's just 2 sessions. So that just tells you how fast things move on the Nasdaq. On the way up, it grinds a little bit more. On the way down, it's a freaking elevator. So you said running the stairs up and then taking the elevator down. It's very much how it feels. Now the Nasdaq, I would just start off with a bias to the downside, same as the ES. But watch this level; it starts trading up above the 290 to 300s. So these two resistance areas. I think we may take off the short bias. I'm not going to do that right away. You can certainly see a little rally here, retracing some of those single prints. If they're back up about 500 for sure, that would be a nice confirmation. But retracing a little bit, getting short against the 30,280s, against the 330s, 400s, 460s, up to the 530s for rotations up. That would be the way to go early on. If they take out these two, the 300 and the 350s, I would be a little bit less aggressive on the short. A hard time to say if everything turns around and the rally starts back up again, and buying interest starts up. But when it looks like this in the morning, chances are we're going to see more weakness. So I would look more aggressive to get short against these for rotations down. But it's hard to say. There's so much range here that, yeah, okay, we get confirmation about 500, but you already gave up a bunch of range on that one. So when they start retracing these single prints about 400s, I might be looking for a long trade there for rotations back up again if that starts happening. They're looking for shorts against the 40s and the 80s up to the 530s, but when you start retracing single prints like that, then you have a shot at potentially things turning around. But again, I'm not going to be as expecting that if it starts happening. Now try to react to it, but right now I'm thinking chances are we're going to see more weakness, and maybe even a test down here at the 760, the 29,750 to 60s here. So and if they start heading lower, just try to stay on the short side, try to get short on the pullback, and for rotations back down again. So that's kind of where we are. And the 750. I mean, so that next support there on the downside is going to be way down there. So I get this to scroll up a bit. There you go. It's going to be down here. So then this lower support area. So this ledge here at the 870, 820 down to the 760s. So these three support areas is where you really start getting concerned about the change in direction. So we got a ways to go on the Nasdaq. We've got another 600 points to go before we have to really worry about the direction change. But that's also how wild this is. And can you see how many days we've been grinding here back and forth, grinding higher, grinding higher, grinding higher. And then in a day and a half, we almost reversed like a week and a half a bunch of crazy rallies, you know. So that's the Nasdaq for you. And so that when it happens, the fear of missing out crowd, which pops on and chases everything, that crowd is the first crowd to bail, sell everything if they get scared. So who knows in which camp we are in right now? But I would assume and start from the short side, and then let's see if they want to prove us wrong, right? Now looking at the bonds and looking at the bonds real quick. Bonds is a little bit to the upside. We'll see what happens with that Iranian situation. That's kind of in doldrums. People stop paying attention to it too much. There's too many on and off kind of discussions. Like, yeah, we have a deal coming in a few days. No, we don't. We have a deal coming in a few days. We don't. That kind of stuff back and forth. And we are seeing the outskirts of a big negotiation there. So I'm just not going to worry about that yet. If you hear anything about kinetic action kicking off in a bigger way, then assume that it's going to be a knee-jerk reaction and in the market on the downside. But right now, it's anyone's guess how that's going to go, I guess. So that's the bonds for you. Right now, trading a little bit higher, yields coming down a little bit. We'll take that. Watch that lower edge, the 11.28 down to the 11.16 to 18. So these two support areas, if they come out, that's when I worry about that's when I start worrying about the short side. Maybe down to the 11.12 to 14 as well. Include those. So looking to buy against those 11.28, 11.18s, 11 10 to 12 or 12 to 14s here for rotations up. Short setups against the resistance at 12.18, 12.22. If they start taking out the 22s on the upside, I'm going to be more optimistic that there may be something positive going on if yield starts coming down like that. But right now, yields are just in a holding pattern. That's the twisting in the wind. And you can see here on the capital flow, we've been probing lower. Looks like we're building value a little bit higher right now. We're building value around about that 112 level right now. So yields came up a little bit. They're holding. If you want them to the prices to go up and yields come down a little bit, but it's anyone's guess. You know, yields. I mean, if you since that housing crash back in 2008 and 9 when they started this 0% crap, that set the stage for all this craziness. People get used to zero interest rates. Before that, interest rates was a lot higher across the board, and people everything was living just fine with it. So it's we'll see if that's going to normalize or the interest rates are going to come down to lower level at all. It's just a little bit too much to predict, but it's. I remember back before that time that the interest rates were not in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range, and that was kind of the norm. There wasn't at all anything crazy about it. And then the institute did it 0% for a long time, and then that just when money's free, a lot of stuff happens. There's a cost to holding money that changes the equation a little bit, makes better business decisions. But anyway, that's a few little sidetrack there. So starting off the ES and the Nasdaq with a bias to the downside. Let's see if this overnight is going to continue. If we're going to get some retracement, looking for shorts against that retracement. On the ES, it's 75.75. That comes out. Take off the short bias. On the Nasdaq, I'm going to take off that bias above the 30,400, that two little edge. You start retracing those single prints. So the two short opportunity or the two resistance areas would be that 360s and up to the 430s. That's the two resistance areas we need to come out for us to change our bias, or at least take off the short bias. Alrighty, guys, we'll wrap it there. So news coming out in about 10 minutes. Going to be jobless claims and productivity and cost, and then we'll see how the market reacts from there. Alrighty, guys. Good trading. I'll see you back at 11:30. Later.